learning new things, extending your knowledge. It's not about how to create this and that for yourself in the future. There's nothing wrong with that. But the focus of this retreat does not lie in the horizontal dimension. So it's neither about your future, nor is it about your past. It's not examining all the things that went on in your past, are now part of your conditioning. It's not looking at the future. It's not to do with the horizontal dimension of your life situation, which is past and future. My past, my future is my life situation. Everybody here has a life situation. And in most cases, a problematic life situation. And some of you may believe that it is uniquely yours, the fact that your life situation is uniquely problematic. But that's not the case, I'm sorry to say. And if your life situation, I'm not talking about your life or this moment, I'm talking about your life situation. If your life situation is not problematic right now, just wait a little. Because you may have hit the brief interlude between problematic events that sometimes occurs. And then the next thing happens. So it's in the nature of one's life situation to be problematic and to some extent to be unresolved, to present certain dilemmas. They look like your very own personal dilemmas, but if you look underneath the surface appearance of the apparent personal dilemmas, you find they have a great deal in common with other people's dilemmas. Only the surface is a little different. Now, you can go to many workshops, and there's nothing wrong with them, they're wonderful, that are to do with how to solve your personal dilemmas, how to create a better future, how to achieve this or that. And that's fine. This is not what we are here for, however. It's not dealing with the horizontal dimension of your life, but something that most people overlook almost continuously, and that is the vertical dimension. One could say the dimension of depths, inner depths. Instead of going out that way, we are going in more deeply into the vertical, which is inseparable from what we call the now. This moment, all there ever is. The now that is usually overlooked because your attention is almost completely absorbed by the horizontal dimension, which is your life situation, your personal dilemma, your problems, and all the things of this world that demand your continuous attention. This matters. matters. And you can feel the pull of the world as soon as you step out of the protected space of this retreat center. You feel the pull of the world pulling you this way and that way and saying, give me your attention, this really is important. And of course, it may well be relatively important. Relatively important. But is it absolutely important? But even within the space, the protected space of this retreat center, the world does not leave you alone, because it also exists in your head as the continuous stream of thinking, of thought processes, and of emotions associated with those thought processes. And that is the world that is carried in your head that doesn't leave you alone, even in the protected space of the retreat center. So you could be sitting here and your attention being absorbed completely by your thought processes. Suddenly you're gone. Only the body is still here. And you will be thinking probably about your life situation. Maybe something that you will have to deal with when you get home. Maybe something that you didn't deal with when you left, before you left. And now you're thinking about it and saying, I really shouldn't have come here. He's not talking about anything important anyway. So that, and then the thoughts have a certain momentum. Each thought is an energy form that has a temporary lifespan, not as long a lifespan as this stone or crystal, but it is a life form, a short-lived life form, not material, not physical, but it is an energetic form. So every thought has this momentum, it comes in, and that draws your attention in. One could say the thoughts absorb your conscious attention almost totally, and so you go into the thought and then you get lost in the thought. Another way of putting it is you identify with the thought. You are the thought. And that is a dreadful fate of humanity. They have become their thoughts. They are so identified with thinking, they know themselves only as their thought processes. And whatever their thought processes are that go through their head, involuntary, most of them, involuntary thought processes, that's who they think they are. What their thoughts are telling you who you are, that's who you think you are. And a lot of the thoughts are telling you what you've learned from other people, what they taught you who you are. And that gets absorbed, it gets assimilated in childhood, and then it goes on from there. Or your reaction against what other people told you who they are, which is another form of conditioning. So you have all that conditioned mind movement inside you, and that is the world. A more primordial, on a more fundamental level, that's the world inside you that tells you, give me all your attention. This matters, absolutely. And the emotions that are created by the thoughts and in turn energize thoughts and create more thoughts. Fear, anger, many things continues. It's a vicious circle. Thought, emotion, because the body believes that whatever thought you have in your head is reality. Whereas most thoughts actually are not reality at all. They're what might happen, could have happened, will happen unless this, that happens. Should have happened long ago. And even that, if you completely believe in every thought, which means I'd be identified with every thought, and you think this should have happened long ago, doesn't feel good. It didn't happen. So this is called a retreat. The prefix re means back. Treat, I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with. The important thing is that it's some kind of drawing back, treading back or whatever. It may be a stepping back, a retreat. You retreat, one could say, there's the expression, you retreat from the world for a few days. You retreat from the external world, your life situation, but only from the external aspects of your life situation. The question is whether, as you are here, you can retreat from the inner life situation, the thought movement. Can you take a step back from your thoughts, your movement of thoughts, instead of believing in each thought? Instead of being totally drawn into each thought, and then every thought proliferates and becomes a stream of associated thoughts. And then that comes to an end. And then the next one comes up. And you didn't catch the tiny gap in between the two thoughts, because the mind says that's not important, there's nothing happening there. That doesn't solve my problems, the gap between thoughts, says the mind. And yet in the gap lies the deepening. There's the vertical dimension. So we are here to allow something to arise inside you that in many of you is already happening. In some of you, it's happening without you really having recognized that it's happening. The arising of something different from the continuous stream of thinking. In many of you, it's happening, and you know it, and then you get drawn back into thought, and then it's there again. In others, and some of you may only recognize as you sit here during this time that, yes, it has already happened. It's already happening to me. I hadn't recognized it. And in others, this may be an opportunity for it to emerge for the first time. Of course, I haven't defined yet what exactly that is, nor do I need to do that right now. And never mistake a definition for it. So there are people who it's happening and they know it. It has already it's emerging. It's a process of emergence. Or it's happening and they don't know it yet, as beginning to recognize it. Or it could happen here for the first time. Or we have a fourth category of people. It just isn't happening. And if you survive these 3 days here, when it just isn't happening, then I congratulate you. Because it will be very hard to sit through this for 3 days. What is he talking about? I could hear one mind asking that question. The arising of a new dimension of consciousness. And when I say that, even that's not quite right. But we have to use words. a new dimension of consciousness arising in and through you, human beings. Perhaps just in time to save humanity or the planet, perhaps. Just in time before what has become a form of collective insanity. The beginnings go back thousands and thousands of years. Even the Buddha saw the collective insanity already and said that was 2,600 years ago. And he said, you are in misery all the time. Why? Why are you so miserable? And even your happiness is miserable because it lasts such a short time and then you're unhappy again. The very thing that makes you happy today makes you unhappy tomorrow. That's why you're miserable all the time. This is my new translation of the Buddhist sutras. And in recent times, that human mind, that what one could call dysfunction in the human mind, yes, the human mind has created great things too, but whenever it has created something truly magnificent, it's never been just the human mind, it's been the human mind connected to a deeper realm. And then the human mind became an instrument through which it was not where the creativity, the creation came from. That came from the vertical, the dimension of depth in the artists or the whatever they created. Every creative utterance comes from there. Anything creative comes from the depth that is there within you. The greater intelligence that is concealed in that dimension of depth in you, that is underneath the continuously, the incessant stream of thinking. People don't know what treasure there is hiding underneath that. And the better you are at thinking, the harder it gets to step beyond thinking. So it's very hard for a university professor who has continuously used his or her mind and polished it and added more and more to it, to step out of that. And they come, okay, define this, what do you mean by that? It's all just, the mind is trying to grasp something that has nothing to do with thinking. It is deeper. It can then inform thought, it can flow into thought also, and then thought is a beautiful thing. But when you're not connected to the dimension of the vertical in yourself, thought becomes very quickly barren and dysfunctional. Because an entire identity arises in you. Identity means your sense of who you are, your sense of self. An entire identity arises that is based on thought movement, who you are. Continuously telling this inner monologue or dialogue that goes on. So you're talking to yourself. Oh, you're so good. You're not good enough. You should be. Why don't you should along? Others are so much. I love myself, I hate myself, I don't like myself. I can't stand myself anymore. And yet, yourself is the stream of thinking. Which you're really saying is, I cannot stand my stream of thinking anymore. But you confused it with who you are, which is underneath that, the dimension of depth. So that we are here to allow that to to emerge that dimension of consciousness which we could call the unconditioned, because the whole stream of thinking is conditioned by the past. And the entire sense of who you are, of identity, of me, that is associated with thinking is conditioned by the past. It's a conditioned entity, conditioned by your environment. If you had been born in Iraq, the structure of your thoughts would be very similar. The content would be different. It would be working along the same structures. So the content, I believe in this and I believe in that. The structure is that you identify with a belief. I am a such and such. You say religion, profession, status in society, nationality, male, female. I am a few words. Jump, 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 jump. Put them together, little bundle. That's who I am. I'm an ex such and such. I'm a so-and-so survivor. You have survived something which is wonderful, because humans go through dreadful things and they survive. But then make it into an identity, or the focal point of your sense of self. You're going into identifying with a mental image, which is thought. That's who I am. Some people have grievances, which are thoughts associated with thoughts and emotions going together. They carry grievances towards one particular person, may not even be alive anymore, my ex this or that, or a group of people, or another nation, or another religion, or some other church within your religion, or some other people, some other color or race, or ideology, grievances. And for some, that is the focal point of their sense of self, their grievance against. So when communism was still alive, well, in some places it still is, in Russia, people got indoctrinated with certain thoughts. And many people, not all, believed those thoughts. And so they believed in, this is who we are. So their sense of self, I am a communist. The collective identity was an important part of a person's sense of identity. And then communism collapsed. And I read it that in East Germany, when communism collapsed, they didn't have enough psychiatrists. There was enormous mental confusion in people, and also suicides. And the psychiatrists, they would have needed 100 times more psychiatrists than they had to deal with all the people who were totally confused. What, all the things that we thought we were is suddenly not true anymore? What is going on? And the fear that comes with that, and I don't know who I am anymore. And that is a dysfunction, to derive your identity from a few thoughts. Because that's ultimately what it is. A few thoughts that you identify with, and that is the me. And then that fragile edifice, you try to, because you deep down everybody knows that it feels so insecure, this little me based on thought. That's called the ego, by the way. And so the ego looks out for more to add to the insufficient sense of self, because every sense of self that is mind-based is insufficient, even if it looks confident on the surface. Deep down there's a sense of not insufficient means not enough, or not enough yet to be myself. I do not have enough yet, have not achieved enough yet, don't know enough yet, have not experienced enough yet to be fully and completely myself. And so with that comes the deep need embedded in every human being that has not stepped beyond, the deep need for more to fulfill me on whatever level. Some people seek it here, others seek it there. You may seek it on the level of possessions, you may seek it on the level of achievement, on the level of relationships, how many boyfriends or girlfriends or experiences. And people come here perhaps also looking for more to add to me. The sense of self, the mind-based sense of self, which is so hungry. Overeating is only a physical expression of the need for more. That is basically a psychological need. So this means you eat more than the body needs to fill that deep-seated longing for more. And then you can have it, you consume entertainment. We have whole industries catering to the psychological need for more that fills your mind up continuously with more things going on, events, useless information, continuous chatter. Switch on the radio and it goes in an excited voice. What's he saying? Nothing really. He's just filling you up with more thoughts. Insignificant. And so people cannot stand not getting more. Not getting more results in very quick a sense of frustration, of boredom, of even fear. Which is what you may experience occasionally here. Because the need for more is not really met in this situation. We are here to discover that to be fully yourself, to feel a sense of rootedness, a deep rootedness in life, in being, that the world of nature still has. Because nature does not have dilemmas or problematic life situations. It may suffer, but it's not a problem. It's not a dilemma. And when an animal suffers, it suffers. A cat just rests until it gets better, stays very quiet. No complaining. Some animals that live closely with humans become complainers also. They learn that from the human mind, which loves complaining. But many animals remain sane despite that. And so you can learn from them. You can see how deeply rooted they are in life. There's a fundamental deep trust in life that humans, most of them, don't have anymore. They don't feel truly rooted within themselves, rooted in being. A deep sense of aliveness and peace. The purring of the cat. The cat is in touch with something very beautiful when it purrs. It's a sense of delight in being alive, bliss. And humans can have that also, and I'm not talking about a superficial feeling of